Welcome to my live teaching learning session of Indian Economy 2 BECE 146. Today we will do first block 1, that is macroeconomic policies. First of all, you must have to know about what is macroeconomics, and then we will study about macroeconomic policies. Macroeconomics is a branch of economics. Macroeconomics deals with whole units of the economy. Macroeconomics and microeconomics both are the branches of economics and both are interrelated with each other. Micro always deals with individual units of the economy like single firm, an industry, individual demand, individual supply, price of single commodity or one commodity. All these things are related with microeconomics. But in macroeconomics, we always study about whole or aggregates or in totality, like aggregate demand, aggregate supply, total saving, total investment, national income, theory of employment, money and banking, unemployment, poverty, business cycles, interest rates, monetary policy, fiscal policy, etc. All these things are included in macroeconomics or studied in macroeconomics. So, macroeconomics is a wider concept, it's a broader concept in which all aggregates are included, and macroeconomic policies are mainly two. One is monetary policy and other is fiscal policy. Monetary policy and fiscal policy, these are the main two important macroeconomic policies. Today we will discuss about what is monetary policy, what is macroeconomic policies, what are the main goals of macroeconomic policies. Then we will discuss about monetary policy, goals of monetary policy or objectives of monetary policy, and what are the main instruments which followed by Reserve Bank of India to control credit or to decrease the supply of money or to control the supply of money. What instruments followed by monetary policy or RBI. So let us start from macroeconomic policies. What is macroeconomic policies? Macroeconomic policies mainly classified into two parts. In one part, it maintains stable aggregate demand, which helps to business enterprises. They can plan for investment, they can plan for employment and plan for output. Aggregate demand has two components in a two sector economy: consumption and investment. Aggregate demand has three components in a three sector economy: consumption, investment, and government expenditure. Aggregate demand has four components in a four sector economy. For example, one is consumption, second is investment, third is government expenditure, and fourth is net export. So, aggregate demand is the demand of total or whole consumers for goods and services which are produced in our country. So, aggregate demand is the summation of all consumers' demand at a given price and at a given time period. And the main macroeconomic policy stabilize the or maintain the aggregate demand, which helps business plan for investment, employment, and output. And second part of this macroeconomic policy is it can influence cost or it can change the supply of the product. How it can influence cost? In this, methods includes exchange rate, monetary policy. Monetary policy is a policy which is made by Reserve Bank of India to influence the rate of interest. And next is fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is government policy. Fiscal policy is made by government. And in this policy, government main instrument uses like taxation, public expenditure, public debt, and budget. These four are the instrument of fiscal policy. You know that government play very important role in each and every economy. Either it may be capitalist or socialist or mixed economy. In each and every economy, government role is very important. What government do? Government take taxes from the whole country people. Government collect revenue through taxation or non-taxable sources, and government spend that money on development and non-development works. Government make budget. Budget may be in surplus, budget may be in deficit, and budget may be in balance. When public expenditures are equals to public revenues, then budget will be in balance. When expenditures are more than revenue, then budget will be in deficit. When public revenues are more than public expenditure, then budget will be in surplus. So, fiscal policy and monetary policy, these are the two main important policies of macroeconomics. And third is exchange rate policy. Through this policy, government can maintain or stabilize the exchange rate. What is exchange rate? Exchange rate is that rate at which one country's currency can be converted into another country's currency. Exchange rate must be stable or constant, not fluctuate every time, because if exchange rate is fluctuating or unstable, then it can decrease or it can hamper our international trade or exports and imports, because exchange rate mainly affects on exports and imports or balance of payment. So macroeconomic policy can be classified into two parts. For example, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. These are the two important components through which we can determine employment, income, and output level. And monetary and fiscal policy are the two main important policy of macroeconomics. Next is macroeconomic policy. We can explain this macroeconomic policy with the help of this chart. In this chart, first of all, macroeconomic policies, in this we study about what are the types of policies, what are the objectives of this macroeconomic policies. Next is specific measures, what steps, what measures have been taken in fiscal policy or in monetary policy to achieve the set targets or goals, and designed to influence. So, macroeconomic policy can be classified into four parts. One is types of policy. Types of policies are fiscal policy. Next is monetary policy. Third is exchange rate policy. Fourth is supply side policy. And what are the main objectives of macroeconomic policies? The main objectives of macroeconomic policies are like price stability. First of all, price should be stable in our economy, because if price is more fluctuating or more flexible, then some people will suffer a lot, like fixed wage earner people will suffer, and creditor will suffer. Investors will also suffer due to higher price rate or inflation. So prices should be stable, not fluctuated every time. Second main goal of macroeconomic policy is low unemployment or full employment. The main second goal is full employment. How to achieve full employment? Government should always focus on this concept that all country people should gain employment opportunities. Because if country people are unemployed, then their contribution in GDP will also be nil or zero. And if GDP will not increase, then our economy can't grow, can't develop. So employment is very necessary for our country or for whole the economies. So unemployment rate should be lower. And how we can decrease this unemployment rate? Uh, Monetary and fiscal policy can use the main instruments to achieve this full employment goal. Next goal is economic growth. You know that economic growth is a process, is a long-term process in which national income and per capita income increases continuously. Economic growth is a narrow concept. Economic growth is related with developed countries in which only real national income and per capita income increase studied, not aftermaths of this growth studied in developed nations. Because developed countries are those countries in which national income remains higher, per capita income remains higher, standard of living of the country people remains higher, education or literacy rate is higher, unemployment rate is lower, poverty rate is lower, population growth rate is lower, inequality is lower. So we study only economic growth concept in developed nations. And next objective is current account balance. What is current account? Current account is the main component of balance of payment. Balance of payment is a systematic record of all economic transactions of visible items and invisible items like goods and services with rest of the world. And current account must be in balance. Current account has three components. One is visible items like merchandise goods. Second is invisible items, in which we include services which are called intangible or invisible, like banking, insurance, transportation, communication. And third is unilateral transfers, which are known as one sided transfers or one sided payments, like gifts, donation, scholarship, unemployment allowance, old age pension, etc. So current account must be in balance, not current account deficit, not occur every time, because sometimes current account deficit create bad situation for the economy. So current account should be in balance. So these are the upper part of this macroeconomic policies, in which you have studied about types of policies and objectives of macroeconomic policies. Now, what are the specific measures in lower part of this arrow? Specific measures which we use in fiscal policy and in monetary policy and exchange rate policy and supply side. First is fiscal policy. In fiscal policy, special measures or specific measures used by the government is taxation and government spending, because fiscal policy is totally related with government policies, and government mainly impose taxes on consumers and producers, and taxation is the main source of revenue. Government collect revenue through taxation and non-taxation sources. Taxable sources are mainly two: direct taxes and indirect taxes. And government direct taxes are those taxes which imposed on that person, uh, which can't be shift this burden to another person, like income tax, gift tax, wealth tax, property tax are the examples of direct taxes. And indirect taxes, in this at present GST included, goods and services tax, which imposed by the government on producers, but ultimately or indirectly its burden falls on consumers. Direct taxes burden can't be shifted, but indirect taxes burden can be shiftable. Here, two concepts are necessary to understand. One is impact of tax, and second is incidence of tax. Impact of tax means first burden of tax, and incidence of tax means the last burden of tax. In case of direct taxes, first burden of tax and the last burden of tax falls on same person. We can't shift the burden of tax in case of direct taxes. But in case of indirect taxes, first burden of tax falls on producer and last burden of tax falls on consumers. In case impact of taxes falls on producer and incidence of tax means last burden of the tax bear by consumer. So direct taxes burden can't be shiftable. In that case, the incidence or impact of taxes falls on same person. But in case of indirect taxes, impact of taxes and incidence of taxes are different. And impact of taxes, the burden of this first burden falls on producer, and last burden means incidence of tax falls on consumer. So this is the meaning of taxation, and under this concept, incidence or impact of tax is also studied. Next is government spending. You know that government main motive is to provide social welfare and to do social welfare activities for the whole society people, because in our country government is democratic government. Public choose their government for for their own social welfare. So government should protect country people and to secure or to provide more and more social benefits to the country people. So government spend money on development works and non-development works, that is government spending. This is the specific measures of fiscal policy which is used by the government. Next is monetary policy. In monetary policy, main specific measures are money supply, interest rate, quantitative and qualitative instruments, which we will discuss in detail. Third is exchange rate. In this exchange rate adjustment will be followed by government. Exchange rate, you know that exchange rate is that rate at which one country's currency can be converted or changed another country's currency. So exchange rate should be stable, or exchange rate must be adjustable. Next is supply side specific measures. Supply side specific measures are like education, training, cut in income tax, cut in unemployment benefit, deregulation, and privatization. These are the specific measures of supply side. If government follows privatization policy, means deregulation, it means government reduce public sector enterprises and increase or motivate privatization, then it will definitely help or encourage to achieve the higher economic growth rate. And unemployment benefits should be cut, otherwise expenditures will be higher and the revenue will be lower, and in that case budget will be in deficit. And cut in income tax, because if income tax is higher, then persons or people's saving will be lower, and when saving will be lower, then investment will be also lower. So income tax should be reduced by the government so that people can save their money. And if people save money, more money, then investment will rise, then production will rise, then employment will generate, and income will generate, and economy will grow at the very faster rate. Government should provide training and educational facilities so that all country people should get more and more education, because educated people can give more contribution in countries' growth and development. And next part of this macroeconomic policy is designed to influence, and how this macroeconomic policy can influence. It can influence through aggregate demand and aggregate supply. These are the two basic instruments of this macroeconomic policy. Aggregate demand is the total demand of all the country people, and aggregate supply is the total supply of goods and services produced by whole country people or whole country's producers at a given time period and at a given price. So aggregate supply is related with supply side, and aggregate demand influenced by monetary policy and fiscal policy. So this is the macroeconomic policy, the whole uh, policy described in this according to this flow chart in a brief form. Next is tools of monetary policy. Macroeconomic policy. What are the main tools of macroeconomic policy? Government have certain instruments that they can use to affect macroeconomic activity. A policy instrument is an economic variable under the control of government that can affect one or more of the macroeconomic goals. By changing monetary policy and fiscal policy and other policies, government can avoid the worst excesses of business cycles to or increase the growth rate of potential output. The two major instrument or two major policies of the macroeconomic are fiscal policy and monetary policy. So these are the two main macroeconomic policies. One is fiscal policy and other is monetary policy. Next is macroeconomic goals. What are the main goals of macroeconomic? Macroeconomic goals are like output, high level and sustainable growth. If output level will be higher, then GDP will increase, and due to higher GDP, per capita income will be higher, and due to higher per capita income, standard of country people will be higher, economy will grow at the faster rate, and we can achieve sustainable growth. But sustainable growth can be achieved only at that time when environmental protection, or we achieve that type of growth in which present generation needs or future generation needs both can be satisfied without compromising or without adjustment. Second goal is employment. High level of employment should be provided to all country people, and low involuntary unemployment should exist. Involuntary unemployment is that unemployment in which people are willing to do work. They are interested to get jobs, but they are not getting job opportunities at the prevailing wage rate. So this is called involuntary. If people are willingly will willingly unemployed, that is called voluntarily unemployed. But if people are interested to do work, they want to get jobs but not getting jobs, that is called involuntary unemployment. So involuntary unemployment level should be low, and high level of employment opportunities should be generated. This is the main goal of macroeconomic policy. Next is price should be stable, because higher inflation and deflation both are not good for the economy. So inflation or deflation both are bad situations. So price should be stable or constant, not fluctuating every time, so that country people will give more and more contribution in the development of the nation. Next is international trade. International trade is related with exports and imports. At present, all the economies are open economy. All economies have relationship with rest of the world. So international trade, in this we include exports and imports equilibrium. and exchange rate stability. If exchange rate remains stable or constant, then international trade will be healthy or international trade will be favorable. So these are the goals of macroeconomics policy. Next is goals of macroeconomic policies. Some other goals are like growth policy, how we can achieve this goal, make the economy grow faster in the long run, and stabilization policy. This policy main aim is to manage aggregate demand, avoid high unemployment, and avoid high inflation. If we avoid high inflation, then we can stable the price level. If we avoid high unemployment, then employment can be generated. And if we manage aggregate demand, then aggregate demand and aggregate supply will remain equal. Then no problem of underproduction and no problem of overproduction will exist in our economy, and price will be stable. Next is stable price. How we can achieve this stable price goal? The third macroeconomic goal is to maintain stable price within free market. Free market economy is that economy in which prices are determined through the forces of demand curve and supply curve. You know that demand curve is always downward sloping curve and supply curve is always upward sloping curve. Demand curve shows inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, and supply curve shows positive and direct relationship between price and quantity supplied, where both curve intersect each other. In a free market economy, price and quantity is determined. So market economy uses prices as a yardsticks to measure economic values. Rapid price changes leads to economic inefficiency. And if we want to get economic efficiency, or we want to achieve the higher growth rate target, then we must have to stable the price level. So price should be remain stable, then government can achieve the set targets. Next is the main important first macroeconomic policy is monetary policy. Monetary policy is that policy which is made by Reserve Bank of India. And monetary policy is that policy in which RBI can control the supply of money and RBI can control the credit creation process. RBI is the apex institution of monetary authority, and RBI has full power of or full control over all the banking institutions. Banking institutions may be scheduled or non scheduled or others. Banking sector may be public sector banks, private sector banks, or foreign sector banks. All banking institutions are controlled by Reserve Bank of India, and RBI made this policy monetary policy to stabilize the price level. To achieve the goal of full employment, RBI can influence the rate of interest, which can also influence the investment rate or investment of the country. And investment can influence the production capacity of the business enterprises, and investment also affects the output level of the nation. So monetary policy, the main goal of this monetary policy is price stability. It means the absence of sharp inflation or fluctuations in the price level is called price stability. Monetary policy also take care of exchange rate stability, and exchange rate stability will maintain the stability in balance of payment. It supports the economic growth by ensuring sufficient liquidity in the market. And it also focuses on enhancing financial access and financial literacy, also tries to avoid financial crises. So monetary policy is a very important policy if we want to achieve stability in price level, stability in exchange rate, and if we want to achieve higher growth rate, and if we want to ensure that sufficient liquidity is available in the market, and if we want to avoid these financial crises which occur in developed nations or time to time, sometimes these financial crises occur due to some uncertain situations. If we want to stabilize all these things or control all these things, then monetary policy is very helpful to achieve this target. Next is monetary policy refers to the use of instruments under the control of the central bank or RBI to regulate the availability, cost, and use of money and credit. According to Johnson, monetary policy is defined a policy employing central bank's control of the supply of money as an instrument for achieving the objectives of general economic policy. So, in brief, we can say that monetary policy is that policy which is made by RBI or Reserve Bank of India to control money supply and to control credit and stabilize the price level also. Next is objectives of monetary policy. What are the main objectives of monetary policy? The main objectives of monetary policies are: one is full employment, next is price stability, third is economic growth, and fourth is balance of payment. The first point is full employment. How we can achieve full employment through monetary policy? Full employment means when all country people gets job opportunities, no one is involuntary unemployed. This target can be achieved if RBI decrease the rate of interest, then rate of interest will become cheaper and investors will encourage to invest more money in business enterprises. Due to low rate of interest, investment will be increase, and due to higher investment, production will be higher. If production will increase, then employment will generate, and if employment will generate, then unemployment problem will solve and country people will get job opportunities, and we can achieve this target, full employment. Second is price stability. If RBI maintain the money supply according to money demand or issue paper currency according to demand of money, if money demand and money supply remains constant or equal, then price will definitely remain stable or constant. Third target is economic growth. Economic growth can be achieved through monetary policy instruments. Economic growth is a process in which national income and per capita income rises continuously, and this growth target can achieve if RBI decreases the rate of interest on investment, then investment will increase, production will increase, employment will increase, income will increase, and if income will increase, standard of living of the country people will also increase, and we can achieve higher economic growth. Next is balance of payment. Monetary policy can stabilize the exchange rate. If exchange rate will remain stable, if our country's currency will not depreciate according to the another country's currency, then exchange rate will remain stable or balance of payment will be in favorable. So these are the main objectives of monetary policy. Next main objective is neutrality of money. Neutrality of money means if money remains neutral. Economics researchers Wickstead Robertson has always considered money as a passive factor, or classical economics, in which Irving Fisher also considered that price remains always constant and price can't influence anything, but price may be influenced by others. So price, they assume that money as a passive factor or price is a passive factor. According to them, money should play only the role of medium of exchange and not more than that. Therefore, the monetary policy should regulate the supply of money and money should be neutral, or money supply should be equals to money demand. Exchange rate stability, how we can achieve this target? Exchange rate is the price of a home currency or domestic currency expressed in terms of any foreign country's currency. If the exchange rate is volatile, leading to frequent ups and downs in the exchange rate, the international community might lose confidence in our economy. So, the monetary policy aim is to maintain the relative stability in the exchange rate so that BOP remains favorable. If exchange rate remains stable, then BOP can be favorable. Now, next topic is what are the instruments of monetary policy and how monetary policy works. What tools or what instruments are used by monetary policy to achieve these set targets or to achieve these goals. The instrument of monetary policies are bank rate, cash reserve ratio CRR, next is statutory liquidity ratio SLR, next is repo rate, next is reserve reverse repo rate, and next is open market operation. All these are included in the tools of monetary policy or instruments of monetary policy. And we can classify the tools of monetary policy in two parts. One is quantitative instruments and other is qualitative instruments. So, instrument of monetary policy can be classified into two categories. Credit control is the main important function of RBI. Credit creation is the main function of commercial banks, but credit controlling is the main function of Reserve Bank of India or RBI. So, credit control is an important tool used by RBI, a major weapon of the monetary policy used to control the demand and supply of money in the economy. So, these two instruments help to RBI for achieving this target credit control. First main tool of monetary policy is quantitative instrument. In quantitative instrument, there are so many instruments are included like bank rate, open market operations, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio, repo rate, reverse repo rate, liquidity adjustment facility. In short, we can say that LAF. And in qualitative instruments, rationing of credit, margin requirements, variable interest rate, direct action, moral suasion, and regulation of consumer credit, licensing, etc. are included. So these are the main two instruments of monetary policy. One is quantitative, in which we include bank rate, open market operation, CRR, SLR, repo rate, reverse repo rate, LAF, etc. And in qualitative instrument, rationing of credit, margin requirements, variable interest rate, direct action, moral suasion, licensing are included. Now, quantitative measures are those measures which affects the variable, which in turn affect the overall money supply in the economy. The main instrument of quantitative measures are number one is bank rate. Bank rate is the rate at which RBI provides loans and advance facilities to the commercial bank for the long time period. If RBI increases the bank rate, then loan will become costly or expensive. If loan will become more expensive, then commercial bank will take less loan from Reserve Bank of India. When commercial bank will take less loan from the RBI, then commercial bank will provide less loan to the country people. In this case, consumers or public purchasing power will fall. Due to fall in purchasing power of the country people, their aggregate demand will also fall. And due to fall in aggregate demand, inflation will control. Because inflation generally occurs when aggregate demand remains higher than aggregate supply. So if bank rate increases by Reserve Bank of India, then RBI can control the credit or inflation and stabilize the price level. So this instrument is a key at the hands of RBI to control the money supply in long run. At present, this bank rate is 6.25%. Next is reserve requirement. It means minimum reserves, that is called CRR, cash reserve ratio. We know that all commercial banks work under the policy of the RBI, and all commercial banks are under control of Reserve Bank of India, and all commercial banks have to keep their deposited money amount at a fixed rate, which is fixed by the Reserve Bank of India, that is called CRR. It means each and every commercial bank has to keep some amount of their deposited money with RBI, and then they can provide loans and advance facilities to the public. So reserve requirements are called minimum reserves or cash reserves, the proportion of total deposits that banks must hold as reserves with the central bank. If CRR increases by the Reserve Bank of India, then more amount will be kept with RBI, and commercial banks loan facility, commercial bank capacity to provide loans to the public will be lower. In that case, public purchasing power will be lower, their aggregate demand will be lower, and inflation will be controlled. Next is standing facility. This is called marginal standing facility, MSF. MSF is marginal standing facility. Marginal standing facility, its main aim is to provide and absorb liquidity of banks, signal the general monetary policy stance, and influence market interest rate. Market standing facility is that facility which is provided by the RBI to commercial bank. If commercial bank has dried up all the liquidity in their banks, then they can take a loan from RBI overnight. That is called marginal standing facility. Next is open market operation. Open market operations are those operations in which RBI can sell or buy securities from the public and to the public in an open market. If RBI sells security to the public, then public purchasing power will be lower because public will buy securities and give cash to the RBI. Their purchasing power will be lower, so aggregate demand will be lower and inflation will be controlled. So in this case, buying or selling assets, usually government bonds or shares on the open market from commercial banks and financial institutions by RBI. Through this operation, RBI can control credit and create credit also. Next is statutory liquidity ratio. SLR, it means a certain percentage of deposits is to be kept by banks in form of liquid assets. This is kept by bank itself. It means CRR, in this case, commercial bank has to keep some money in RBI of their deposited amount. But in case of statutory liquidity ratio, commercial banks can keep certain percentage of deposits with themselves. So this is kept by bank itself. The liquid asset here include government securities, treasury bills, and other securities notified by RBI. If SLR is more, then banks have to keep more part of deposits in specified securities and bank will have less surplus funds for granting loans. It will contract credit. It means if SLR rate increases, then credit will be controlled, and if credit will control, inflation will control. SLR is fixed by the Reserve Bank of India. Usually, it has been ranged between 25% to 40%. By an amendment of the Banking Regulation Act 1949 in January 2007, the floor rate of this SLR is 25% was removed and the current rate is 20.75%. Moral suasion is the instrument of qualitative instruments. In this, RBI follow moral suasion. Moral suasion means persuasion and request to arrest inflationary situation or to control inflationary pressure of the economy. Central bank persuades and requests the commercial banks to refrain from giving loans, to avoid and to control giving loans to the public for speculative and non-essential purposes. And if commercial banks don't follow the policy of the RBI, then RBI can take direct action on those commercial banks who are not following the policy of the Reserve Bank of India. Direct action under the Banking Regulation Act, the central bank has the authority to take strict action against any of the commercial bank that refuses to obey the directions given by RBI. Next is Liquidity Adjustment Facility. What is LAF? It is a tool used in monetary policy that allows banks to borrow money through repurchase agreements. These arrangements allow banks to respond to liquidity pressure and is used by government to assure basic stability in the financial market. So LAF is a tool which is used by RBI to allow commercial banks to borrow money through repurchase agreement. Next is monetary policy may be traditional monetary policy and maybe non-traditional monetary policy. So Federal Reserve goals are to maintain maximum employment, stable price and moderate long-term interest rate, and to achieve these targets they can make traditional monetary policy and non-traditional monetary policy. In traditional monetary policy, we have studied about the instruments of monetary policy like open market operation, reserve requirements, discount window lending, or in non-traditional market monetary policy, forward guidance and large-scale asset purchase are included. Now, what is forward guidance? Forward guidance helps the public better understand policymakers' intentions about the future course of monetary policy. And the large scale asset purchases provide additional stimulus to interest sensitive spending, affect the economy through the same channels as traditional monetary policy. Repo rate is that rate at which RBI provides loans and advance facilities to the commercial bank but for the short time period. Almost bank rate and repo rate both are considered to be same. But the difference between bank rate and repo rate is that bank rate, in this case, RBI provides loans and advance facilities to the commercial bank for the long time period. But repo rate is that rate at which RBI provides loans and advance facilities to the commercial bank for the short time period. And the reverse repo rate is that rate at which RBI borrow money from the commercial banks. If RBI borrowed money from the commercial bank, that is called reverse repo rate. Repo rate remains higher than reverse repo rate. Next is types of monetary policy. Monetary policies may be two types policy. One is contractionary and other is expansionary. Contractionary monetary policy mainly followed by RBI when inflation occurs. If inflation occur in the economy, then RBI will follow the strict monetary policy in which RBI control the credit. That is called contractionary monetary policy to control the inflation, to control the credit. And expansionary monetary policy is followed by RBI at that time when deflation occurs in the economy. Inflation is a situation when price rises continuously or persistently for the long time period, and deflation is a situation when price falls continuously for the long time period. Deflation is worst for the economy. If price continuously falls, then producer will discourage to produce. When producer will discourage to produce, production will be fall, employment will be fall, income will be fall, and demand will be fall, and everything will be fall, and economy will go down or reach in situation of depression or recession. So, to solve the problem of deflation, RBI follows expansionary monetary policy, and to control the inflation, RBI follows contractionary monetary policy. Next is expansionary monetary policy, and under contractionary monetary policy, how RBI can increase the money supply or can decrease the money supply. In case of expansionary monetary policy, RBI provide enough money supply in country and lower the rate of interest so that loan will become cheaper and public can take easily loan from commercial banks. In this case, production will rise, employment will rise, income will rise, and economy will reach in the situation of boom. Next is less reserve requirements. Results over lower unemployment and economic growth is when RBI follows expansionary monetary policy, it results in lower unemployment. It means full employment or employment opportunities will generate and economy will grow, and it leads to higher inflation. And in case of contractionary monetary policy, in this case money supply will be lower by RBI, rate of interest will be higher, reserve requirements will be higher or increased by RBI. It results lower inflation. So these are the two main types of monetary policy, expansionary and contractionary. Next is RBI. The main rate of repo rate is 4.90%, and MSF is a marginal standing facility. This rate is now 5.15%. This data is given by RBI monthly monetary policy announcement June 8, 2022, and SDF rate is standard discount rate is 4.65%, and GDP projection financial year of 22, it means GDP growth rate is expected in this 2022 year is 7.20%, and inflation rate is expected in this year at present 6.70%. Repo rate is higher and it remains higher than reverse repo rate. Next is transmission mechanism of monetary policy. Transmission mechanism is a system through monetary policy works. It examines whether one variable affects another by using the data to build a model that explains the channels through which the variable affects the other. Transmission mechanism generally tells us about how monetary policy works or how monetary policy influence the investment of the economy, and how monetary policy can influence the aggregate demand of the economy. Through transmission mechanism, the change in money supply affects interest rate. Whenever money supply increased by the Reserve Bank of India, first of all rate of interest will fall. Due to fall in interest rate, investment will rise because loan will become more cheaper. Then investor will encourage to take more loans from the banks. In this case, investment will rise, production will rise, in employment will rise, and income will rise, and economy will grow. Interest rate directly affects investment and both are inversely related with each other. At higher rate of interest, investment will be lower, and at lower rate of interest, investment will be higher. That's why investment diagram is always downward sloping curve from left to right. And investment spending is a component of aggregate demand in a two sector economy or in a three sector economy or in a four sector economy. In a two sector economy, aggregate demand has included C plus I. In three sectors, C plus I plus G. And in a four sector, C plus I plus G plus net export. So investment is the main important component of aggregate demand, or investment can influence the aggregate demand, because if investment increases, then production will increase, employment will generate, income will increase, and when income will increase, consumer have capacity to buy or consumer will be able to buy. In this case, demand will also increase. Now next is conclusion. Now we can conclude from this topic is macroeconomic policy. Macroeconomic policy is a very important concept of this Indian economy part 2 BECE 146 paper, because macroeconomic policy is mainly made for whole the economic, uh, to regulate all the economic activities or all the economic objectives, to achieve all the objectives of the economy. After discussion, all those things, we can say that monetary policy is the process by which the monetary authority of a country can control the supply of money, often targeting a rate of interest for the purpose of promoting economic growth and stability. The main aim of this monetary policy is to achieve the goal of full employment, economic growth, price stability, exchange rate stability, favorable balance of payment, and higher economic development. So, all these targets can be achieved when monetary policy is made by Reserve Bank of India and efficiently implemented on all the commercial banks which are working under the control of Reserve Bank of India. But monetary policy is not the main tool to, to achieve all the set targets, because we have to follow fiscal policy and we have to use fiscal policy also, because monetary policy and fiscal policy both are the main two important policies of macroeconomic. So both the policies are complementary to each other, not substitutable. We should use both the policies together. Only one policy can't achieve the set targets of the economy. In other words, we can conclude that monetary policy is one of the important tools that an economy uses to maintain stability. But monetary policy alone is not enough, because it only affects commercial banking functions, commercial banking policies, but it can't influence the whole country people. Equally effective fiscal policy, we should also follow or use this fiscal policy, which can be in place of to get the maximum out of the output of the economy. So if we want to achieve full employment target, price stability target, exchange rate stability target, economic growth and development target, higher standard of living target, then we should use both the policies in a complementary way of both the policies in together. Not only monetary policy can achieve all the set targets, both the policies are useful or important to achieve set targets of macroeconomic goals. Thank you.